All right, so I got breaking news. Breaking news to start the show. It's November 1st, Dame, what is it? 2024. Breaking news as we're getting ready and pre-show today. Kristen blows my mind. I welcome them to the program. Kristen, hello.
Hello.
Dame, hello.
Good morning.
For those watching on the live stream, Dame is wearing a hat, and it happens to be a really cool looking hat. And it's the logo of a local title company.
Mm-hmm.
Best local title company logo in history. Stamp it. Kristen.
Pete.
We were talking beef.
We were.
Odd thing to talk about at 9:54 on a Friday morning. However, what you said to me was something I did not know, and that's that you only eat male cows, which aren't cows. What's happening?
That's not what I said.
No, you said you never eat a cow.
I said you don't eat cows, is what I said.
Well, that's what I just said. Okay, you don't eat cows.
Correct.
Help me out.
Okay. So,
Cow is a lady heifer.
A female bovine
Is called a cow.
Correct. That's had a baby. That makes her a cow.
This is like the LSAT. What? Okay, and what is a male bovine called?
Either a bull or a bull calf.
And does it matter if he's shaved?
Yes.
That matters?
Yeah, or a steer. Yeah.
Okay, so if I go and have a prime steak, what am I eating?
Probably you're probably eating a heifer or a steer. It's not a cow.
I'm so confused. A cow is, once they've given birth to a baby calf.
Correct. They are a cow.
Then they go from heifer to cow. It's like going from Miss to Mrs.
Sort of, yeah.
And so I wouldn't eat a cow once it's producing dairy milks.
Sometimes you do. And so this is where you cut me off, because I was like, when you go to the grocery store or someone has like a really cheap, like ground beef, I think that's when it's the cow.
I just for the sake of everything here, I cut you off because I wanted to save it for the show. I didn't cut it off as in Kristen quit yapping.
Well,
right?
Not this time.
This time.
Dame, did you know any of this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some cows are raised for dairy purposes, so you're not going to kill milking cows until they don't produce anymore. But it's possible to eat female cows along the way. It's just more common that you're going to eat male cows.
What percentage of the population knows this? Because I'm feeling very dumb right now. I know a lot of stuff, but I did not know this.
No, I would say most people don't know. And like I had indirect exposure like through 4-H and stuff. And I don't know that I could have recalled all those names off the top of my head.
And go ahead, Dave.
I will tell you, if Mrs. Advice is watching, she is nodding along right now, agreeing with everything that Kristen said.
Mrs. Advice knows this.
Yeah.
Wonder if Mrs. Planner knows this. You want to call her on the air?
That always works out well.
All right, let's call her. This seems like a bad idea.
You have a heart out, by the way.
Yeah.
I know. I have a heart out. Sorry, Jeremiah. Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello. Hey, I'm on the air and you're on the air too. Can I ask you a question?
I guess so.
Okay, this could go poorly for our marriage. Did you know, in terms of eating beef, that you don't eat cows really? That cows are beef things that have had a baby, and then you don't actually eat cows. You eat heifers and or steers. Did you know that?
I don't know. I guess I've never really thought about it. So, no, maybe not.
Okay, I didn't know that either. And these country folk here are judging me. All right, that's all. That's all I got. Go back to your day.
I didn't know that.
I'm so very sorry. I love you. Goodbye.
Oh, thanks. Highlight of my day.
Okay, bye. That word.
She lied. Highlight of my day.
Good lie. She's a liar. Okay. Well, let's move on because I do have a hard out. By the way, Taylor Swift about to ruin the city of Indianapolis for a weekend with a traffic nightmare.
Ruin.
I'm not going
Money
within
she's
10.
bringing to the local economy.
Is she carrying it in a satchel? Other people are bringing the money.
Yeah, only because she's here.
I'm here. I just don't want to.
Are you on the side of the Marriott? No.
Could be. All right, let's go. Let's do it. We'll start with the second email first, which would make it the first email. Is everybody tracking?
Yeah.
Sure. You just read it. We'll respond.
Okay. I need to write on some things. Okay. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. This week on the Pete the Planner Show, we answer your money questions. Here's how the show works. You email us, askpete@petetheplanner.com. That's askpete@petetheplanner.com. And here's what happens. We either read your answer on the air. Wait a second. We read your question on the air and then answer it. We ignore the email, or it's gone to spam because we don't pay for good email service. Joining me, as always, is Kristen Elanius, big in the beef industry. Hello, Kristen.
Hello, Pete.
And Damian Dunn, that knows his way around a heifer.
I am not going to dignify that with a response.
We were talking beef pre-show, everybody, and I'm just learning a lot about beef. Okay.
Proud of you.
I really feels like a blind spot for as much beef as I've eaten as a person who looks like they've eaten a lot of beef. You feel like I would know more about beef. Dear Kristen and Co., I could use some straightforward but non-judgmental advice.
Wrong.
Well, you've come to the wrong show. That's exactly right, Kristen. Okay. My wife and I share expenses, but we don't fully combine our finances. We each cover different bills, and it's worked out fine so far. Quick timeout.
Granted.
Dame, everything's cool here, right? So far, everything's calm.
Yeah, it's not unusual for couples to manage their own finances separately. It's maybe not quite as common as combining everything, but it's very possible to have a rather separate financial life in the confines of a relationship.
It's worked out fine so far being sort of the operative phrase. It's like, it's fine.
The shoe is hovering out over the floor. We're just waiting for it to drop.
The problem is,
oh, there we are.
I went through a rough period where I was overspending, and I ended up maxing out 2 of my credit cards without her knowing.
Yay.
Now I'm trying to figure out how. Oh, we're not judging, though, so you can't make that sound, Kristen.
Oops.
Take it back. Now I'm trying to figure out how to pay this down on my own. My plan so far is to cut back my 401k contributions, get rid of any discretionary spending so I can put as much as possible toward the debt. I've also thought about taking out a debt consolidation loan to help manage the payments. Just to be clear, I'm really not interested in advice to tell my wife about this. We'll come back to that later. I'm committed to handling this on my own and want to know if you think my approach will work. If there's anything else I should consider, thanks so much for an insight. I'm not giving you my name. Daryl Johnson from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 1267 Walnut Drive.
Oh, no.
That's not the person's information.
Unless it is, which, wow.
Wow, can you imagine? What are the chances?
That'd be amazing.
Dame, I mean, are we even able to do this while dismissing a primary element, which is coming clean?
Can I just lob a grenade in the room?
Oh my god, dude, that's not so much violence today on the show. Okay, yes, you can lob love into the room.
If they have separate finances, is it her business?
Oh, geez.
Oh, my.
The "Is it her business" seems like a campaign t-shirt. Okay. Well, can we park that for the side? Can we park that for a second?
Sure. No, to be clear, I'm not saying it's not her business. I'm just asking the question to get it out there.
Okay, so you don't feel that way.
Not personally, but I'm just asking the question.
Mind your business, Margaret, is what that's Dame's perspective.
Margaret Johnson in Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, we call her Mags. Kristen, where do you begin with this?
So, okay, let's entertain the idea of you don't tell your wife, because you said you weren't interested in our advice about telling your wife. What happens if in 3 years from now, you guys want to go buy a house, you don't quite have this debt under control, and you're sitting in front of the mortgage officer, the loan officer, and they say, hey, your credit score is 650, and we see here that it's because you have a high balance or had a high balance on this particular card. My concern is that I don't think that you get out of this unscathed for like the next 7 years.
Can I play in that sandbox real quick? Because I like that. I like that, Kristen, but I think it stops short of that. I think this person, if let's say the couple's like, hey, we want to buy a house, this person's sort of pumping the brakes on that conversation. Well, why not? No, we shouldn't. We should. Well, why not? That's going to cause this conflict even before they get to the mortgage officer's desk. And that will chip away at their marriage.
I think there's another wrinkle in that as well. It said the plan for Daryl, I believe was his name.
No one knows. Cut
back on his 401k contributions. Well, while most people, it's not uncommon to have separate financial lives and you're controlling different things, but in retirement, I think it's way less common to have separate financial lives in retirement. And if you're cutting back on retirement contributions, you're actually impacting your spouse by not saving towards that goal. And if you're going to cut back for 4, 5, 7 years while you get this sorted out, there is a potentially substantial impact to her future, their future.
All right. So here's where I'm at so far. And this is going to be a couple segments, it feels like, because there's a lot here. Not my take, a couple segments, but we've got a lot to explore. What about, instead of all these other things like cutting back my spending and 401k and debt consolidation, which is a terrible idea, why not sell some stuff? Why not have an offering to the financial gods in part with something of meaning of yours that you own, not your wife's car? I mean, right? I feel like there's got to be some like goat sacrifice or something, like some pagan ritual of sacrifice.
Can I hypothesize as to why that might not work?
Sure.
If you're trying to raise some serious money, you're either going to sell a whole bunch of stuff or one substantial item. And the question would likely arise, hey, what are you going to do with that cash?
Okay, but that brings me to what I think is very interesting that's not here, which is if previous to this like period of overspending, they had their financial life together, and now this person is not spending as much. Do you guys really think that the wife doesn't know? Like if there's a change, obviously there was a lot of lifestyle creep here. If in what sounds like a relatively short period of time, we've maxed out 2 cards, I guess we don't know the balances. Maybe it's not an astronomical amount, but like, you don't think that there were clues along the way that like we were spending too much money?
Interesting point on like how long did it take to accumulate this? Because if it happened slowly over time, it could be completely under the radar. You thought like maybe you were living within your means because you're only exceeding your income by, a few $100 a month or whatever it might be. But before you know it, 2 cards are maxed out. But if you went crazy and went on some vacations or whatever, it would be a little bit easier to see like, oh gosh, something's completely different now.
Let me tiptoe through a minefield here real quick of judgment. Maxed out 2 credit cards after going through a rough period, using the air quotes there, rough period. I mean, that can mean all sorts of things. I mean, it could mean was drinking a lot. It could mean eating a lot of fast food out at lunch, at work days. It could mean gambling debts. Like it could mean all sorts of stuff. So, Kristen, I say that in the sense that I don't know if she necessarily would know of that rough period if it was sort of that type of thing.
That's fair. I didn't think about it through that lens.
Let's do this. Let's take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to try to navigate this under the rules that the emailer set for us, which is the rule is I can't tell my wife. We're going to try to navigate through those rules, and then we're going to remove the rules and give you our best answer, right? It's like Hollywood Squares. You give a fake dumb answer that everyone giggles at, and then you give the real answer, and then Shadow Stevens blocks with the axe. We'll come back right after the break. I'm Pete the Planner. Kristen has no idea who Shadow Stevens
I was
is.
just going to ask,
No
A,
way.
ever watched Hollywood Squares, and B, if you knew who Shadow Stevens was.
I watched a lot of Game Show Network with my grandparents. I'm pretty familiar with a lot of it.
Why? Like you just basically are like Dame and I are your granddads.
Well,
Do you? Okay, Dame, or I don't know if you're. I'm setting both of us up for something bad here. So I'm sorry. You're gonna have to take this. Kristen, do you think more of us as contemporaries, parents, or grandparents? And like you have to like take a breath and answer this honestly.
Like brothers, parents, or grandparents? Is that
Yeah. Okay, brothers, parents, or grandparents.
None of the
male models.
Oh, yeah.
Nailed it.
Okay.
No, I feel like you guys fit in like the fun uncle category.
Okay.
You know?
Funkle.
Funkles, fun uncles ruin lots of holidays. I just want to say,
Pete, is Shadow Stevens a top 10 voice?
oh yes, Shadow Stevens for the block. He's a big booming voice, guys. Quick note here: the soccer dad chat was popping off this morning.
About Taylor?
Soccer, not Taylor. How glad we're not going to Taylor Swift concert. No, it's just like, I mean, Dame, you understand this as a Funkle yourself.
Yeah.
Half the fun of youth sports is that you just make friends with the other parents and they become like your community. And you don't realize that at first, or you don't see the value in that, or you don't think you will like it. And then ultimately it's like the greatest pleasure of it all.
Swim fam. I mean, you spend more time with them than almost anybody else that you are around, because you're either dropping off, picking up at practice, you're spending weekends away, and you got to find some way to try and stay sane. Yeah, youth sports becomes a tight-knit community pretty quick.
Oh, it's popping off. Kristen is making a face like she just ate Sour Patch Kids.
Yeah, that's how I feel about that.
Okay. Neat. All right, let's continue the show because I've got a heart out. Sorry, Jeremiah. We can't all just be poll workers, which actually means people who work at polling locations.
Correct.
As opposed to 3, 2, 1. Back on the Pete the Planner show. Kristen, we just received an email in which a gentleman, I believe, said, I actually don't know the gender, but he did. A gentleman ran up credit card debt on 2 credit cards, maxed them out. His wife doesn't know. He wants to solve the problem on his own without telling her. And his rule to us as we try to help him is you can't say, don't tell her. Right. Have I updated it? Are we good so far?
Yep.
At first, we've talked about why we think this will fall apart. But Kristen, can this actually be solved the way he wants it solved?
So if this person is committed to not telling their person, my advice would be that in good faith, you cannot do anything that will continue to affect your wife. So what I mean by that is the pay down of this debt has to come from his discretionary spending. It can't come from the 401k. He can't take out additional loans to pay this off. It has to be through his sacrifice if he's committed to not telling her.
Can I ask the question? You said it can't come from the 401k. Are you talking about just the contributions in general, or are you talking about a 401k loan? Help me out with some clarity here.
Both, because what you said in the last segment, Dame, which is that people generally are combining finances in retirement. I don't think it's fair to potentially rob her future stability if you're committed to not letting her in on this.
What if this guy goes and finds a girlfriend and they share finances and he uses that money to pay off the debts that he has with his wife?
You're a genius.
Thank you. Now, here's my concern, Kristen.
I have several.
Yeah, this is just, it's a minefield, right?
Right.
And I'll say, Dame, as financial planners, like, and Kristen, how often does someone set ground rules that they think make sense, but actually make no sense to trying to solve the problem? And this is a classic example of that. So, Kristen, let's say this guy's like, I'm going to Uber, I'm going to DoorDash, I'm going to do whatever. And I don't mean order DoorDash. How do you contextualize being gone more, having your car smell like cheesesteaks, which would be great, and then that money not improving their life in the eyes of his wife? Like, how does that work?
It doesn't. The only way that this works is if he has considerable discretionary income to toss at this. If he does not have that margin to make this work, it doesn't happen.
Dame, is there any circumstance, I mean, trying to be realistic and boiling it down here, is there any circumstance in which this guy can functionally solve the problem in a fair way without telling his wife?
Not as efficiently as if she knows.
Right.
Do you feel like not, okay, this is is not telling her dishonest?
Yes.
As opposed to being asked about it and lying about it? Are they both on the spectrum of dishonesty?
Correct. Withholding the truth is dishonest.
Dame?
It's on the spectrum.
Oh boy.
I'm calling Mrs. Advice. He's rethinking his answer.
I don't want Mrs. Advice knowing that I feel this way about something. No, I don't know. My initial judgment is it's on the spectrum, but it's not as severe. And the whole reason I say that is because they have split finances.
Yeah, here's where he may think he's trying to protect her feelings. You know, he may be like, I'm doing this so you don't get upset. What he's really saying is, I'm protecting your feelings about me. Yeah. So it ends up being about him,
right? Not
about protecting her.
Right. Yes. I think that she only stands to lose in this scenario, and withholding the information, I think you nailed it, Pete, is protecting her image of him, which is, who is that benefiting?
All right. So here's where I'm at. And I'm breaking this person's rules. Why? Because they didn't leave their name. So what do I really care?
Yeah, sure.
Listen, Steve. What do you say the guy's name is?
Called him Daryl.
Daryl. Yeah.
You expect me to remember that? That was like 13 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Daryl goes to his wife. And this is the tone I'd go with. Hey, baby. Just like start there and then pause, long pause. I have terrible news. I'd love to hear me. If you hear me out, I got into some credit card debt and I was too embarrassed, too ashamed to tell you. I still kind of don't want to tell you, but I feel like it's the right thing to do. All I'm asking for here is that you hear me out and allow me to try to fix this. And I need to clear my conscience because it's killing me and I can't sleep. And I've been eating a lot of low quality beef and it's making me unhealthy.
What if he does this at a really nice dinner, tells her this, and then says, and based on the information I can't pay for it, I'm going to need for you to.
Oh my.
Can we go Dutch? I met a Dutch guy the other day and I asked him if whenever he goes out to eat, if everyone just pays for their own meal, and he didn't see the humor in it.
Yeah.
And it was uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable. And I think it was at a business setting and I wish I hadn't let it fly.
No.
Anyway, Kristen, what do you think about that? About just like coming clean?
Yeah. I think so. What's interesting to me here is I think there's an opportunity for both people, if they really have each other's best interest in mind, to recognize that they did leave opportunities in the way they set up their personal finances for one of them to do something like this, and also recognize that it's not uncommon for people to get in a place where they've spent beyond their means. Like, he's just taken it to a place where we don't feel that he can get out of this on his own. And so how do we make sure this doesn't happen again? And how do we do that as a pair, as a couple, and set ourselves up for future success?
I'm really wondering if there's been past issues with this and she helped dig him out once prior and said, never again. We're never doing this again. I promise you, honey. And here they are again.
But
And he doesn't want her to know.
if that's the case, then the solution at the time would be to set up mechanisms to not allow that to happen. We should have had more joint accounts. There should have been more visibility to hold each other accountable, not in a controlling way, but in an accountability way. I don't know. I feel like if that were the case, then I don't want to say like not as much empathy, but like you can't set yourselves up to make the same mistakes again.
Okay, so here's the situation. We just received another email just now, and it's from a woman, and it said, my husband just told me that he maxed out 2 credit cards, and he didn't want to tell me, but he told me, what do I do? So,
Maggie.
Mags. So what do I do? So what do we do? What do we tell Maggie once, what's the guy's name? Rick?
Daryl.
He does the right thing. What do we tell Maggie?
That the two of you have to set up mechanisms to protect your financial interests. That's whether that's additional visibility, whether that's Maggie taking over the personal finances for a while. Maybe Maggie's not qualified to be the sole, to be the one who's solely in control of the finances either. It has to be a joint effort. And then to say, okay, and then how do we want to tackle this problem now that we know that it exists? Maybe that is a consolidation loan. Maybe Maggie has really great credit and she's going to co-sign on a loan so that they can work themselves out of this hole or allocate discretionary income. Or maybe it is the 401k. I'm not here to say which one makes the most sense, but they need to set up that plan.
And Maggie gets to check Daryl's annualcreditreport.com whenever she wants to see if there's any new credit lines out there.
Yeah, accountability seems like a good idea until you don't want to be held accountable.
Yeah.
You know? Do you think Maggie should offer, let's do this. Let's take a break. Let's everyone calm down.
Yeah.
Kristen, shh. We will. I'm sorry. We're going to come back. We're going to answer this, wrap it up. Then we've got another email about liquidating retirement assets to pay off lingering debt. All that's next right here on the Pete the Planner Show. I'm Pete the Planner. Kristen, are you doing anything fun this weekend? Why do you laugh, Dame?
She's always doing something fun. It's a silly question.
It's my dad's birthday.
Yeah, see?
That's fun. Is there cake? Is he a pie guy? What will you do there?
Pizza pie.
Just pizza?
Yeah.
Okay. Dame, I've told you the story. I right out of college, a couple years after college, one of my buddies moved to New York and he was married and he got a divorce. And so all the boys rally, fly out to New York for a little boys weekend. And this is our friend. He's from the south side of Indy. He's just a good old Midwestern boy. And we get there and we're at his apartment. And he was like, you guys want to grab some pies? We were like, what? What happened to you? What? You guys want to get a pie? We're like, what? He's like, some pizzas. I was like, what is wrong with you? They're just pizzas. And we did, and they were delicious.
Hey,
want to get a pie? I was like, okay, Trevor, calm down. Okay. Dame, you got anything good this weekend?
Swim meet, swim fam.
Swim fam. There's a bunch of soccer in our house and some cheer.
Hey.
Get to watch. Neither of you are real football people. Former Colts wide receiver. Pro football.
Oh, touche.
Pro football. With all due respect, pro football. College, yes. Pro, no. T.Y. Hilton, former Colts receiver. His son plays for a local high school, and my daughter's team that she cheers for is playing that team tonight. So I get to watch him, and he's like he's going to Wisconsin, maybe. Then he is going to be a college football player. And then you'll know about him. I told you first. His name's Eugene.
Eugene Hilton.
You think he'd play for Oregon, but
how's he going to do the E? I mean, because T.Y. used to do the T. So how's he going to do the? That's going to be really tough. Yeah.
Perfect.
There it is. That's the E. Okay. Good question.
Family tradition. I figure you got to carry it on.
We got to keep it going. I got to hard it out in 3, 2, 1. Back on the Pete the Planner Show. All right. So the final ruling. Maggie comes to if you just joined us, emails us in. We're calling him
Daryl
ran up a bunch of credit card debt. His wife didn't know. and he wants us to help him solve the problem. But he said the only rule is he can't tell his wife. And we said, that doesn't make any sense. Then we said, what if another email came in from Maggie, who's obviously Daryl's wife, and she has just been told about this financial issue. And what is she to do? How is she to help move forward? Kristen, you gave some thoughts, Dame.
As I said at the end of the last segment, make sure that she has access to annualcreditreport.com to make sure that there are no new credit cards or credit lines being taken out while they're working through this issue. I mean, seems reasonable for some accountability as you're going through. And then also support and give him the space that he's going to need to, work that second job or that side hustle. Encourage him, support him to go through that. Celebrate wins, recognize the hard effort that he's putting in to get this alleviated. And then hope that it all works out.
I'll end with this. Here's the one reason I want him to tell her. Because if he tries to go through this without her knowing, he will end up resenting her because he's going to need support to get through this and work hard and to sacrifice. And she won't know of those things. And so he'll just resent her and it will actually make their relationship worse. I watched a lot of Dr. Phil back in the day. All right. Hi, Kristen and Co. I will try to make this email short, so I will use bullets to avoid many timeouts in a meandering paragraph. Timeout?
They understand the show.
That feels like a real shot at me.
Well, you read them.
The good. Income is nearly $400,000. Not under the new tax plan by... I'm just totally kidding. I'm just... actually kidding, kind of, but not really. But yes, retirement assets include 1.2 million in an IRA and 300,000 in an employer plan. Are we good so far? We got to feel 400K income, 1.2 million in retirement in an IRA, and 300K in an employer plan. Inheritance. Oh man, this person's got someone in their sights. Is looking like about $2 million. But we know that we should not be considered, although I brought it up as the third point in an email. Cool. So go ahead and strike this from consideration while still allowing people with their rules. People like, hey, financial experts and Pete, can you guys answer our questions? But here are some rules. The bad. 5 kids ranging from teens to 20s. 3 are off the payroll.
Okay.
So 2 still on the payroll. We are 47. Man, can you imagine how tired they are with all of that going on at 47? Dane, what's that like?
I have no idea.
47.
I don't know what you're talking about. 3
of the kids have had significant medical expenses resulting from mental health concerns not fully covered by insurance. Okay. Current debt, primarily medical and travel to seek medical help, is about $200,000, with much of it at high interest credit card debt. Yes, we know that we made some poor decisions, but some of it was out of immediate medical necessity. I'm going to call a timeout here.
Yes.
It's okay. You got to do what you got to do, especially if you're dealing with medical situations of your kids. No judgment here. Proposal. We would like to take money from our IRA to clear out all the debt. The taxes and penalty may be worth the peace of mind and stress relief knowing that the debt is gone. It's our money, and we still believe we're looking at a healthy retirement. Thoughts, objections? Blessed and bruised. I was going to have a little coffee shop in Crawfordsville called Blessed and Bruised. It just sounds like a small town coffee shop that's sort of off the mark. Come get a chai tea latte at Blessed and Bruised. Try our scones. I'm sorry. Do you want to answer this question?
I have an opinion.
You always have an opinion. That's why you're on the
show. Yeah.
The answer is no.
Wow.
And
jeez, cold dead heart. Go ahead.
I don't know who wrote this, blessed or bruised, but you clearly are a frequent listener because of the way you set this email up and the inside baseball that's going on. So I would hope that you know us well enough to know that we are empathetic and we just want what's best for you. At your income level, you have an opportunity. They make what? 5-6 times the median household income, you have the opportunity to scale back your spending to make significant progress on this. And that doesn't have to dip into your retirement. And I think you have to do that for yourselves right now.
Dame, I'm going to let you go, and then I'm just going to agree with you. But I would love to know how much their debt service is each month. I would love to know how much. Dame?
That's a big part of it is, is it close to runaway spending or runaway debt at this point? I don't think taking money from the IRA is the answer because of, penalties is one of them. You're essentially going to end up wiping that out almost to clear everything off between income tax and penalty. The other issue is they've got about 1.5 in retirement set aside right now. If it doubles 2 more times before the age of 67, that gives them 6 million. And that gives them about 240 at a 4% withdrawal rate, and plus Social Security. So I don't know that they can afford to cut away from retirement right now.
Exactly.
Let me be very clear here. The two people you just heard from are trained financial professionals, certified financial planners with the registered trademark designation. I, the namesake of the show, don't have any of those things. And now I'm going to disagree with my co-hosts, who are actual experts. First, I want them to take a home equity loan, except for the fact that they probably already have, because everything sets up that they've got to have $400,000 to $500,000 of home equity. They have to. We see situations like this all the time. They have to $300,000 to $500,000 of home equity. That's where I would start. Beyond that, the debt service matters, because what you could do is you could say, okay, what do you guys think? 200,000. What do you think the debt service is on that?
Said high interest credit cards. Even if we're very generous on the interest rate that they're getting and call it 19%, which is, I don't think that's anywhere possible. And how much of it do you think, how much do you want to say is high interest credit card debt?
120 to 150. Oh, it's whatever, 2/3.
That's a lot of cash.
Can you calculate it in a minute?
Probably not.
I'll say this. I think if they are just replenishing their account with their cash flow savings that they've eliminated, it's not terrible. It's not my preference, but I like it better than just keep on keeping on and killing their income.
Mm-mm. No, because I don't think that you would give that advice to someone who made a sixth or a quarter of their income.
Of course I wouldn't. That's why I'm giving this advice to someone who makes 6 times that.
So why can't they reduce their discretionary spending and dig themselves out of the hole? It's a practice in retirement spending too.
I think they are spending significant amounts of their income on this. They are doing that. I just think, I don't know. I'll just say they're dealing with mental health challenges. They got 2 other teens going on. Mm-hmm. That is the stress involved. This is not a vacuum question where it's like everything's fine except for the fact that we've got debt. Like there's a lot going on here.
Sure.
Dame, are you coming to an answer?
Yeah, debt service in that first year is going to be around $20,000.
That's not that bad.
See,
at 19%.
At their income level, I don't know.
Some food for thought. Blessed and bruised. Enjoy the scones. Coming up after the break. Biggest waste of money of the week in the news. I'm Beat the Planner. I would not give that advice for someone making $120,000. To your point, right? But with 400, I don't know. It's like, well, we need so much more information.
Oh yeah.
Like, where's the money going?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I think they're aggressively saving for retirement. You could arguably cut back that, because to Dame's point, it's already going to have 2 doublings without any more contributions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could cut back to future savings potentially, and then try and make it up on on the back end of becoming debt free if you wanted to, but I don't think you can take away from it.
All right, let's rock and roll because I'd love to be done a little early so I can prepare for this call.
Sorry.
Those that are wondering, I'll give you a little inside baseball. I'm writing another book, which I think I've shared, haven't I?
I think so.
Yes.
And so I'm interviewing some experts in particular fields. And so those expert interviews start today so I can finish the book, get the book out, and have another book. So that's what I'm doing today. So I've got to talk to someone who knows what they're doing about something in 20 minutes.
You mean another published book, not that you're going to start another book after this, a subsequent book after this?
This is the book I'm working on.
Okay. It was just the way you phrased it. It caught my ear. Entirely sure.
Well, Dame, you should know by now I have no idea what I'm doing in 3, 2, 1. This week's biggest waste of money of the week right here on the Pete the Planner show is working on it. Stand by. Everyone calm down. Kristen, calm down.
It's a cow.
It's not a cow. It is none other than Coach Prime's locker. When he took over as coach at the University of Colorado, Deion Sanders, or Coach Prime, called Shield to build a custom locker for his office. Now they're offering 15 lucky fans the opportunity to gear up just like Prime. Coach Prime's locker is modeled after the one in his office, measuring over 10 feet wide and 3 feet deep. Highlights include integrated lighting, custom stitched seat cushions, a backlit signature panel topped with Prime's "You Look Good" mantra, which is "You look good, you feel good, you play good, they pay good." A wireless charger and a wardrobe cabinet with a felt-lined jewelry drawer and backlit shoe cubbies. Designed, manufactured, and white glove installed by Shield. Only 15 will be made, with a portion of the sales going to the CU-affiliated 5430 Alliance NIL Collective. Among the 15, only 5 signature editions will be available, which include Prime and CU gear and the locker autographed by the coach himself. For what it's worth, I am not a hater. I am an appreciator, a celebrator of Coach Prime. I will pause there. So, Kristen, what does this fancy locker cost?
Did I hear that right in the copy? He's only going to autograph a third of these?
That's right. There's 15 made. He's going to take 5 and sign them, deface them, if you will. Yes.
Interesting. Okay. I think that these are 8. Oh my, I hate this. These are $6,500.
Okay. Andy did ask in the comments, assembly required. No, these are going to be installed by.
Oh.
White glove service, I believe they said.
Yeah, it's a white glove service to install. Do you want to refine? I mean, Kristen.
My guess is terrible no matter what, but now it's probably low.
Okay. 6,500?
Yes.
Okay. Damian Andrew Dunn.
This looks like fancy IKEA, but cabinetry is really, really overpriced. This is $16,000.
Oh, just a bit outside. $125,000
American dollars.
American dollars. Here's the worst part: as you try to say, well, it's okay because all the proceeds are going to pay college football players via NIL. So depending on how you feel about that, this is even worse or somehow better. Dame, what's in the news this week?
Sorry, I'm just still gathering myself after the Blom. Russia. Okay, you thought that was ridiculous. Let me try one up you.
Yeah.
Russia fined Google. Did you hear about this?
Oh, yes, but I didn't know I saw the number, but I don't know what the number is.
I don't know how to say that.
I'll tell you. $20.5 decillion over YouTube content moderation. The silly sounding number reflects that Russia is big mad at the video platform for failing to restore the YouTube accounts of state media outlets, which the tech company considers pro-Moscow propaganda channels. The fine, which is 20 followed by 33 digits, increases by $1 million every day until it goes every day it goes unpaid. Digital Trends reported that the 20.5 decillion is equivalent to all the money on Earth multiplied by 23,809,523.
All the money on Earth?
Multiplied by 23, I'll call it 24 million. Russia might also still be smarting after YouTube suspended its AdSense program in the country over the summer, meaning creators can no longer monetize their content with ads.
Does anyone else just see Putin going $20.5 decillion?
Yeah.
My second Austin Powers reference of the week. During a team meeting this week, I said my head looks like Mr. Bigglesworth, and I saw all of our younger colleagues look confused, and a couple of the middle-aged people like myself go, ha, ha, clever. Kristen, Mr. Bigglesworth?
Mm-mm.
God, this is terrible.
Sorry.
Dame?
You have one less thing to worry about the next time you're stuck at the airport. A new U.S. rule went into effect this week that requires automatic refunds for passengers whose flights get canceled or significantly delayed. No powers of persuasion are needed. The onus is now on the airlines to give you back your money in full. You no longer have to request a refund using your original payment method. Your dollars must be returned to you within 1 week if you paid with a card, and within 20 days if you use greenbacks or points. On the books, the new rule standardizes carriers' refund policy by officially defining, quote, significant delays as how many hours?
3.
4.
3 hours for
Oh,
flights,
Kristen.
6 hours for international, according to the Department of Transportation. Additionally, you are entitled to a full refund if the airline changes your arriving or departing or connecting airport, adds a connection, or switches you onto a plane that's less accessible if you have a disability. Airlines also must recompense baggage fees for lost luggage. You still have to file a report, though. And it's for services like Wi-Fi or seat selection if they were paid for but not provided. If this rule has been in place last year, it could have cost United, American, and Delta more than $1 billion each in refunds, according to the travel publication Upgraded Points.
First, recompense. Amazing word.
Mhm.
Truly a great word. Number 2, thanks, friend of our show, Pete Buttigieg.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Kristen?
I have a question. Airlines can, like, the significant delays, they have creative ways that they can circumvent that, right? Because, like, when we got stuck in Vegas a couple years ago for like 12 hours, an airline, who will remain nameless, would put us on the plane even though the plane was not prepared to take off, because then they didn't have to refund the tickets. So we got on and then off 2 different planes in 12 hours.
Come on, get on it, friend of the show, Pete Buttigieg. It's wild that he was on this show before he announced his run for president in 2020, right? Is that one, or was it before that? No, when was this?
It would have been because I was here, so that would have been 2020. Yeah,
Wild. Anyway, what else is in the news?
well, I dealer's choice. Would you like to know about some college information, or would you like to know about cheese wheels?
Cheese,
please.
The Naked Chef needs your help tracking down 1,000 cloth-wrapped wheels of cheese, collectively weighing about 48,502 pounds. Jamie Oliver put out a plea to his social media followers to help find the expensive artisan cheese that was stolen last week from Neil's Yard, a posh dairy in London. How did the thieves pilfer about $390,000 worth of Hafod Welsh cheddar? They posed as agents of a French supermarket and told the real purveyors to deposit the goods in a particular warehouse for inspection. But once the cheese was dropped off, authorities believe it was transferred elsewhere by the Stooges for criminals.
You know, when I hear this, the first thing that comes to my mind is just like, no way.
That was a stretch. I got it, but it was a stretch.
That was really good. Have they talked to the Kurds? Okay, we have... What? No way is incredible because you separate the Kurds and weigh. I mean, that is like
I know.
400 level.
It didn't mean it's funny. It was just witty.
Sometimes I don't need a laugh. I just need a knowing glance.
I
okay.
gave you one.
I know. Okay, we have a minute left in the show.
How much?
Who wins the presidential election? Our predictions.
Man.
You have to predict. This is not who you want. This is who you think wins. And it does. And obviously, we're probably not even going to know by the time we have our show next week. We aren't.
That's true.
So, who wants to go last? Kristen wants to go last. I will go first. I believe Donald J. Trump will win. Dame?
Last week, I would have said Vice President Harris. I am becoming more and more convinced that former President Trump will win.
Kristen?
I actually have the exact same take as Dame. If you would have asked me a week or 2 weeks ago, but now I think Trump.
Yeah, that's what I think is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll leave it at that. So, all right, everybody, go vote. No, because it seems like an adult thing to do. And we'll talk to you next week. The country will still exist next week at this time when we have the show. We'll figure it out together. So, sending you good vibes, because good vibes are all that's in the budget. If you listen to this show on the podcast or on the radio, I highly recommend you go to youtube.com/Pete the Planner and watch the show, because it's better that way. I'm Pete the Planner. This is the Pete the Planner Show. We did it.
We did it.
10 minutes to spare.
Plenty of time.
We'll see what happens. Okay, so a little more nuance to the question. When is the winner declared by of the three big how many big networks do we want to say? With CBS, ABC, Fox,
And
NBC, and CNN.
Okay.
We called those the big five. Is that fair? How at what point do at least three of those declare the winner? The same winner.
Thursday.
Thursday. Okay. Kristen?
Wednesday.
Saturday afternoon.
Oh my.
Yeah, I'm just telling you, I think it's gonna be Saturday afternoon. But I will say this, and this is not conspiratorial at all. I promise. The weird thing is, I think Trump will win, but oddly, if somehow they announce it on Saturday, I feel like Harris would win, which makes no sense whatsoever, right? Because I think he's going to win, but I feel like if it was on Saturday for some reason, and again, not a conspiracy, not like things are being switched around, it's just like a dumb thought, I think she'll win.
The longer it drags on, the more I think she's favored.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Not looking forward to any of it. I can tell you that. I don't think I've dreaded a period of time in quite some time.
Yes.
I completely agree. Once upon a time, Pete, there was a part of me that really looked forward to election years when I was young and naive. And now I dread them because of the consequences and fallout. And there's no good ending to this. Half the country's going to be upset one way or the other.
Well, here's the thing. Our podcast will carry on. And tens of people won't care. Okay. Have a good weekend, Dame. Kristen, I want to say something very sincere to you. I hope somehow, magically, mystically, you get Taylor Swift tickets and you end up at the concert.
Stop.
And if you do, I just hope you're out of traffic in time to come to the next week's show.
That's fair.
All right, everybody. Stay getting money.